Hey, welcome. Have you ever just stopped and wondered how the universe manages to be so orderly? Well, it turns out, even at the tiniest level you can imagine, there are rules. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most important ones, Hund's rule. Think of it as the secret social etiquette for atoms that keeps everything from flying into chaos. Let's jump in.
Just picture an atom, right? Something like iron has 26 electrons all buzzing around this tiny little nucleus. It sounds like a recipe for total, absolute chaos. So how does it all hold together? How do these little particles even know where to go? Well, that's the big question we're going to tackle today.
You see, to understand the order, you first have to appreciate the problem. For every single electron in an atom, it all boils down to a fundamental issue, a housing problem, really. Where do I live?
You might imagine electrons just kind of wandering around wherever they want, but that's not it at all. They're actually on a pretty tight leash, confined to very specific neighborhoods, energy levels, and regions around the nucleus. You can't just be anywhere, you've got to have a proper address. And that's where all this organization starts.
Honestly, the best way to get your head around this atomic address system is to think of it like a very, very particular apartment building. So let's go ahead and take a look at the floor plan. Okay, so this breaks it down perfectly. The whole system is layered. First, you've got the main energy shells. That's like the entire building. Then, inside that building, you have different floors, which we call subshells. And on each of those floors, you find the individual rooms, which scientists call orbitals. And these orbitals, these rooms, this is where the electrons actually live. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. There's a strict occupancy limit. No more than 2 electrons can ever share a single room. That is a non-negotiable rule, and it sets the stage for everything that follows.
All right, so we've got our floors and our rooms, and we've got our 2-person limit. Now we get to the really interesting part, the unspoken social rule that helps electrons decide which room they're going to take.
This is it, right here. This is the heart of the whole thing. It is just that simple. Everyone gets thrown a room before anyone has to share. Just imagine moving into an apartment that has a bunch of empty bedrooms. You're not going to immediately jump into a room with someone else if there are empty ones available, right? Of course not. Well, electrons feel the exact same way.
And that very simple, very intuitive idea has a formal name, of course. Hund's rule of maximum multiplicity. All it's really saying is that when you're filling up the rooms, or orbitals, on a particular floor, or subshell, each room gets 1 electron before any room gets a second one.
So why? Why do they do this? It's all about energy. See, electrons are all negatively charged, and they naturally push away from each other. They repel. They want to be as far apart as possible. So by taking their own orbital first, they keep that repulsion to a minimum. This isn't just a quirky preference. It's the most stable, lowest energy configuration the atom can possibly have. Okay, so the theory is pretty straightforward. But let's see how this rule actually plays out in the real world, because seeing it in action makes all the difference. This is probably the best analogy for it. Think about getting on a bus that's not very crowded. You see all these empty 2-person seats. What do? You grab an empty row all to yourself. You only even think about sitting next to a stranger when all the other double seats already have 1 person in them. Electrons follow that exact same logic. It's the universal law of personal space. So let's look at a real element, carbon. It's got 2 electrons to place in its p subshell. That's a floor with 3 empty rooms. Now, the wrong way to do it is to just cram them into the first room together. That creates repulsion, it's higher energy, it's just not stable. The correct way, following Hund's rule, is to spread them out. 1 electron in the first room, 1 in the second. Now the whole atom is in a much more stable, lower energy state. It's just happier. And there's one last little detail here that's really important. See how the arrows for those single electrons are both pointing up? That's representing their quantum spin. It's another piece of the puzzle. For maximum stability, all the unpaired electrons will have the same spin. They'll all point in the same direction. Okay, so electrons like their personal space. It's a neat little rule. But you might be thinking, does this actually matter in the grand scheme of things? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. This little rule has massive real-world consequences. One of the biggest consequences is magnetism. An atom's magnetic properties are decided almost entirely by whether or not it has unpaired electrons. If it does, all thanks to Hund's rule, we call it paramagnetic, and it'll be attracted to a magnetic field. If all of its electrons are forced to pair up, it's called diamagnetic, and it's actually weakly repelled by a magnet. It's a direct cause and effect. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Take a look at nitrogen.
It's got 3 electrons to place in its p orbitals. So what happens? It follows Hund's rule, and each one gets its own room. The result? 3 unpaired electrons, which makes nitrogen paramagnetic. Now look at neon. Its p orbitals are totally full, so every single electron is paired up. The result? Neon is diamagnetic. The rule lets you predict the property, just like that.
So here it is, the big takeaway. What starts out as a simple social rule, a preference for personal space, down at the subatomic level, scales all the way up to determine huge, fundamental properties that we can actually see and measure. Things like magnetism, how elements bond, even the color of some compounds. It's a small rule with an absolutely massive impact.
And that kind of leaves us with a final, bigger question to chew on. At its most fundamental level, we see that matter isn't chaotic. It follows these elegant rules to find the most stable, lowest energy arrangement possible. So, if the very building blocks of everything we know naturally seek out order and stability, what does that suggest about the fundamental nature of the universe itself? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.